Congratulations, Mayor-elect Dickens. You will become the next mayor of Atlanta. How are you feeling at this moment?
I feel fantastic. I feel excited about following my dreams and being able to serve my city in this way.
That's amazing. And congrats to you. And it was crazy because like the way things unfolded, like you were behind Kasim Reed, then you sprung in front of him, and then you made it to the runoff, and the next thing you know, you're the mayor.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I ran this race knowing that I could win and pretty sure that I would win if I did everything according to plan. And the voters and God bless me in this election.
Awesome. Yeah. And you're also a product of Georgia State. I'm at Georgia State now, so
Right. Yeah, I went to Georgia State for my master's.
Okay, awesome. That's amazing. So you're the mayor now. I know that the transition, I know that you guys have been hard at work getting ready to transition into office. What's the transition process been like?
Yeah, so, the election was just a week ago. So I'm now formulating a team, a transition strategy, and then getting ready to begin to hire people for certain tasks. And, when you have to go through a runoff the way that the government has set it up now, you only get 1 month to be able to be ready to lead. So, and that month is a month filled with holidays and weekends and everything. So it's tough. It's tough to pull it all off, but we'll be ready.
Okay, sounds good. Now let's talk about this road to victory. When it comes to, and this is just, maybe there's somebody who's listening who's interested in running for something one day. What does it take to build a campaign and a successful campaign? Like, what are the ins and outs of it?
Yeah, for mayor, I'll just tell you about this election. A little different than a city council race. It's a lot more expensive, and takes a lot more time. So you mean if you're going to run for mayor, you can't have another job. I mean, to be able to go to all the forums, all the debates, all the interviews, all of the screenings from the unions, all of the written responses to questions, to be available and then to study and understand what you're going to do, you got to take a job off. So I've been on a 3-month leave of absence. I had to raise $1.3 million in the general election, and then another 1.2 or 3 or 4 in the runoff. You would think that the runoff was a lot less expensive because it's just 4 weeks, but it's a lot more expensive because you got to really, get your word out against one-on-one direct. You got to be sharp on your feet, lots of debates and forums. You got to know what you're talking about. You got to have an opinion about a qualified opinion about affordable housing, transportation, public safety, a proven track record, and the ability to attract a team. So I have a chief of staff. I had a campaign manager, a communications manager, a field manager, a finance director, an operations person that managed the budget, a volunteer coordinator, a senior outreach person, a scheduler, somebody that just manages the calendar. All of that was staff, and then a bunch of volunteers, and then consultants, media consultant, TV buyer, operation research person, a pollster person that does polling for you, all that for mayor. So you probably, a lot of times you start with city council or school board, where I might have had, school board, the mayor's race was overall about $3 million once I add the general and the runoff. But the a city council race, my first one was $250,000, and that was for a citywide council seat.
Wow, it seems like it takes a lot to, if this is something that you want to do, you got to eat, think, sleep, breathe. Like this has got to be your all, and and you did it.
Yep. It's got to be your all. It's got to be your everything. No half stepping.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you're about to transition to office in January. What do these first few days look like for you? What are the plans?
Yeah, so as soon as I take office, I'm gonna reopen City Hall. It's been closed since COVID. I'm going to do an audit on all constituent facing departments, looking at what they're doing, what they could be doing better. I'm going to make sure I enact my Safe Streets plan, to start the hiring of police officers to overcome the shortage that we have, and to enact my community-based policing policy of getting officers out of their cars, helping them to live in the city, et cetera. And I'm going to, start working with the state legislature to try to make sure that Buckhead stays in the city of Atlanta, and that they don't want to take our airport to be a state-run organization. So all that is what I'm going to be doing the first couple of days. And of course, meeting with all of the staff, which I'm doing right now. I actually spent today, I went to sanitation department roll call in the morning before the trucks rolled out. I went to 2 police precinct roll calls this afternoon before the officers left, and gave them a pep talk. So, meeting with the employees, the people that make all the city magic happen.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, seems like you've been doing the footwork before you get in and stuff like that, which is, obviously very important. And then earlier you had mentioned housing. So I wanted to talk to you about housing, because it seems like it's kind of like the idea of like the middle class, being a homeowner is just kind of like, it's kind of fading away, because so many investors are buying up everything and, just doing so much. So what can you do to like ensure that, the middle class has opportunities to, be homeowners?
Yeah, I think about the middle class and below, the middle income earners and below, not just the middle. Because, the middle has an opportunity to buy a house. They may not buy it in the exact neighborhood they want, but they should be buying it in these neighborhoods where others are buying it, and they call it gentrification. But we also, and it is gentrification, but we also have individuals that should have the foresight to go to those communities too, and not, look up 5 years later and say, I wish I had been in Westview. I wish I had been in Grove Park. I wish I would have, lived in Grant Park. So, we have to educate our people to go out there and make sure that they invest in their future by buying a home in some of these great neighborhoods in Atlanta, but also helping with down payment assistance for those that are lower income, to help them, even though they may not have $10,000 put down, if they got, some of that, we can put money with it to help them. That's down payment assistance. They can afford their mortgage because they're paying more in rent than mortgage, but they just don't have the money for the down payment. So we can help with down payment assistance through Invest Atlanta. And then freezing property taxes for seniors, making sure that seniors can stay in the place that they live, making sure that those senior houses, just because somebody around them has moved in and the housing value has gone up, should not mean that a senior is paying more in taxes than they were before. So making sure we reduce the assessed value so that it doesn't cause a burden on a senior due to the rising costs attributed to the taxes from the valuation going up. And then making sure that we build 20,000 units of affordable housing over the next 8 years. We have to build housing all across this city that people can live in. And building this housing is my goal. It's an important goal, and we need to do so rapidly.
Okay, got it. And you mentioned we've talked about during things that have been mentioned on the campaign trail. It's been Buckhead, it's been crime, homelessness, housing, all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. Is there something that was like, on the campaign trail that may have not been talked about, but that's still an issue that, needs taken care of? Anything that's kind of like people really haven't thought about because it's not like the crime and the Buckhead and stuff. So like, what's that one issue that's kind of like, been kind of hidden, but people may not know about it?
Poverty is always the big issue for me, making sure that people have great paying jobs. So training people to live in the city and to be able to work in the city that they live in. Microsoft coming to town, I'm training, hundreds of people to get those great jobs. Same with Airbnb. Google. So being able to train people to get these jobs is very important. So to overcome the income inequality, we have to do so with training for great paying jobs.
Okay. Yes. So when it comes to being mayor, you know, there's you have a lot, and like especially with, you know, where you are now, there's the pandemic, and then of course you have the other issues and stuff like that. I mean, when you get in there, it's gonna be a lot to, you know, take care of and handle and stuff. So I guess, how will you kind of keep your sanity and, you know, relaxed and stuff like that? Make sure you do a good job.
Well, I listen to music. I love live music, or, you know, any kind of thing like that. I also love sports. And plus, you know, I'm a deacon of a church, so I go to church often, um, every Sunday, actually. And, you know, just relaxing, enjoying myself with my daughter, my family. That's important.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And you know, because it's like you know, even though we have the main job, we still got to take that time to, you know, do the things that we enjoy, do the things that we love.
Sure.
Yeah. And speaking of that, what can you say is some of your favorite spots in Atlanta? Like, you know, where can the people catch you eating at, you know, hanging out, having fun? You know, what are some of your favorite spots?
Yeah, I enjoy, you know, walking on the Beltline. I like Grant Park, just to hang out in the park. I'm always eating at restaurants like Spice House or Local Green, or you know, Tom, Dick, and Hanks. You know, I have my favorites. I eat a lot. I eat out. You know, I love local owned restaurants, even breweries. You know, so Monday Night Brewing, that area, I hang out over there. You know, and then if it's if it's a nighttime fancy dinner type deal, I go to the Consulate or some other places. You know, so I'm out eating, hanging out. Um, you know, having fun.
Oh, yeah, you're a pretty cool dude. That's awesome. I love that. And also, I did want to talk to you about this. So, governor, you know, the governor's race is heating up. You got a lot of people stepping in line for governor. Mayor Bottoms and Governor Brian Kemp, it's no secret that, you know, they've been bumping heads from time to time. As mayor, what will you do to make sure that you and Governor Kemp get along, and that you also get along if he's, you know, get along with another governor if he doesn't get elected when it comes election time for the governor's race?
Yeah, the governor is an important individual, no matter who holds the seat. So I want to make sure that the city has a good relationship with the state, and that the mayor has a good relationship with the governor. I have already talked to Brian Kemp twice. We're going to have breakfast on Thursday. I've talked to the lieutenant governor and the speaker of the house. All those individuals are very important people. The city wants to make sure that we keep that relationship. And so there's places where we will agree, like on business development, jobs, growth, apprenticeship, training, all those things, all of us can agree to. And then there are some things that we may disagree on, but we'll disagree on them on principle and policy, not personality.
Okay, got it. Yeah, because I know, you know, I know that that, you know, that's going to be heating up. So that's going to, like, the governor's race is going to be a pretty big focus. Do you see a candidate that you know, support so far?
Well, yeah, Stacey Abrams and I are friends. She endorsed me in both of my previous elections, and I supported her in 2018. Even though I'm willing and ready to have a relationship with the governor, I'm also, you know, still a friend of Stacey Abrams. So, you know, that's my friend. That's my candidate.
Got it. Okay, sounds good. And also talk to us about, like, but when you decided to run for mayor, like, how
Yeah.
did you decide that you wanted to run for mayor? Like, you know, was it one of those things where you just kind of wake up, it's like, I'm gonna run for mayor? Or, you know, did Mayor Bottoms not running for re-election influence that a little bit? Yeah, like, what influenced you to get into the race?
Well, I have been, you know, desiring to be mayor since I was 12 years old, my mother said. So since I was 12, I wanted to be the mayor of Atlanta. And, I've lived my adult life, whether that was college at Georgia Tech, being on SGA, president of the African American Student Union, president of my fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi, on and on and on. I've been serving constituents at Georgia Tech, and then I, got into a neighborhood, and I became neighborhood vice president, neighborhood president, NPU rep, on and on and on. I just kept serving people, and then I finally ran for office to be city council. And then when Mayor Bottoms decided that she was not going to run for mayor again, I stepped up and ran. And look at us now.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing. And then the race, it was so large. Like I actually, where we met is when Georgia State had the candidate forum on campus and stuff, and we talked, and it was like 10 plus candidates on stage and stuff. Like how do you separate yourself from the bunch when there's just so many people running?
Yeah, I had to do it. You use your voice, share your ideas, make sure you know what you're talking about. And really, it's the hard work of knocking on doors, talking to community members, making phone calls directly to voters. Voters are always impressed when you talk directly to them. So you got to knock on more doors than the other candidates. You got to make more phone calls. So that's what I did.
Awesome. And when it comes to runoff elections is like, obviously you have the first election, less people come out in the runoff. Why do you think that is? And like, what can candidates in the future for any election do to make sure that runoff turnout is good as first election turnout?
If I knew that, I would have got it done. I was trying to have the voter turnout higher than it was, and nobody was able to get more people out. So yeah, it was. That's just how it always is. Getting people to vote twice in a month is hard. But I wanted to, and I was unable to. But I still won. But I really wanted more people to turn out. So 96,000 turnout for the general. And then 76,000 turnout for the runoff. 20,000 people decided not to show up for the runoff. They either forgot, or they didn't care, or they didn't know that there was another election that same month. All right.
Okay. Yeah, and then just to kind of close it out, I'm a young person, I'm a student, so of course I gotta ask this. Where do the young people, the college students, where do we come into play as far as things that you may do in office to get young people involved? Where do we come into play?
Well, I mean, you just jumped the line of about 15 other journalists in this city that have been trying to get the mayor-elect on the phone or Zoom for the last 3 days. So, you being young made me want to make sure you got this interview, and GSU as well. So I put a priority on making sure we nurture young talent and making sure that young voices are heard, and also that younger people are able to see their mayor. Part of the voter turnout that did not show up was the younger folks. So if the 25 and under group, 18 to 25 showed up more, we'd have more voter turnout for sure. So in my campaign, a lot of my conversations are about making sure that young talent was being nurtured so they could take on these greater roles and work in City Hall, and also some of our cultural things like fashion and art and all those things. The young population should have a lot of input. So I see that. And then small business development. It would be great to have more small businesses owned by younger people. So that's where I see some of that and more.
That's amazing. I like that. And because I'm a young business owner myself, so I can tell you, the more young business owners, the greater the possibility.
Yep.
The possibilities are endless there. So,
okay.
Really great thing. And just to close it out, we're about to close it out, but with the crime, where do you start when it comes to the crime issue? Like, what's I guess, kind of where's the root of it? and how do you break it down and then kind of basically, reform when it comes to the police and all this stuff? Like, where do you begin in that aspect?
Yeah, so I have my Safe Streets plan. It's a balanced approach to safety and justice. It's been vetted by police chiefs across the nation, former police chiefs, and it's a smart on crime approach. We're 450 officers short, so we need to hire 250 officers immediately from either other jurisdictions, or some of them will be recruited through our academy. But to use street lights and cameras, to hire more, to put more street lights and cameras out there so that we can deter crime and improve our environment. But then also to have a non-emergency police force that doesn't have lethal weapons, but they deal with homelessness and people experiencing mental challenges. And so those officers would be, they're specialists. They would deal with, mental health and homelessness, whereas the other officers will continue to serve for violent crime and other offenses. But then the other thing is to make sure that we get officers out of their cars, walking the beat, being community-based, making good touch points with the gas stations and the shopping centers. Youth-related crime is 60% of our crime. It's conducted by people under 25. So if we get youth crime down, we get overall crime down. So that's where we start. Start with making sure we do community-based activities for youth, and then making sure officers are out of their cars, walking the beat, because they will see more and serve better when people have access to them. And these officers will be well-trained in conflict resolution and also de-escalation tactics. So I appreciate that question. And actually, I have another thing at 5, so I'm already up against it. So I got to jump.
Yes, Mayor Dickens, Mayor-elect Dickens, thank you so much for taking time to join me. Best of luck to you when you get in office. Hopefully we can have another chance to do an in-person interview at the office one day throughout your 4 years. And just best of luck to you, and good luck, and best wishes. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.